Hi, my name is Elizabeth Foster and I am the founder of Connect Coach. And at Connect Coach, what we do is we connect you with expert coaches to support you in your personal and professional development. And today we're joined by one of our really incredible coaches, and I personally love what she does because I think it's really, really cool. Her name is Melissa Cohen. So welcome, Melissa.
Hi, Elizabeth. Nice to be here.
Thank you so much. So, of course, I know what you do, but the listeners don't. So, tell us what you specialize in.
Well, I specialize in helping young professionals, also known as millennials, when they're anxious and stressed out about real life. I help them find motivation, know their worth, develop desirable relationships, and that way they can create successful career paths.
I like that. And I think that's so necessary for younger people to really have that support, so that they can kind of get it right earlier, as opposed to the older generation who didn't really have that few of them had that support at that young age, and so have kind of gone on their way to really kind of exploring their life and their profession. So tell me, what actually led you to become a coach, and why did you choose to work with millennials?
Well, I've been a psychotherapist for over 20 years, and during that time, I've worked with teens and college students and young professionals, and everything in between. However, over time, I found that the things that people are coming to me, the concerns, are not issues that need to be fixed therapeutically. There's nothing wrong. They just have these ideas and concerns, and they want more direction and support. They don't want someone to do it for them. They want to be able to make things happen themselves, and they want to move forward. Coaching supports this path, and it can provide clients with this forum so that they can explore their possibilities, and also includes the accountability that they want so that they can make these changes.
I like that. That's so cool. So tell me a little bit about, you talk about a millennium, but what does that actually mean in age-wise? I mean, does it mean late teens? Does it mean in the people in the 30s? Where is that age span?
Well, millennials are age 25 to 35.
Okay, so that's that kind of that's the spectrum in that age because of where they were born, or when they were born is what I mean.
It's when they were born, and it's how they grew up. They grew up different. Technology came to the forefront while they were growing up. They communicate differently. They expect different things. They challenge the norms. They work for themselves. They create their jobs instead of necessarily taking traditional roles.
So you're working with millennials, and I'm imagining that those millennials are really benefiting personally from the work that you're doing with them. But I can also see that plays a really vital role in an organization or with an employer as well. So how does that actually work? What are the benefits of working with a millennial?
Well, every generation has had complaints about the generation that's come after them. So this is nothing new, because we hear all the time that millennials are lazy or entitled, or they don't want to do the work. So it's not necessarily, it's just a different view. And millennials need to kind of have someone help them navigate the traditional work scenarios. And the older generations need to have the millennials explain to them.
Right, that makes sense. That makes total sense. So you really are that bridging place, aren't you, between the millennials and I mean, because really, as you said, the technology for them, the internet, it wasn't part of, it certainly wasn't part of my youth, but for the internet and technology, it's very much a part of the millennials' youth, because that was when it was being born. So they kind of grew up with technology being born.
Yes, and they communicate differently.
And
They
what do you mean
they
by that?
well, they do everything on their computer,
Right.
and they they don't speak to people the same way that other people do. They text and they email. They don't necessarily pick up the phone.
Right. Okay. And I can imagine that somebody that's used to picking up the phone and having more of a verbal communication might struggle with that written type of communication.
Yes, it goes both ways. So people who are good on the phone can't always put their thoughts into words and get their meaning communicated. And those who are really good at writing can't always speak it properly.
So I can really imagine that there's a vital place for you in society at this moment in time, because I know, and I've certainly heard it when I've been speaking to people. You know, people have said, "Oh, you know, I've got these problems with the millennials, and I don't understand them, and they don't understand me," and that's kind of exactly what you're saying. So that where you fit into it is really supporting that whole communication. And I'm imagining that that in itself really then has a very positive effect both on the millennials themselves and the people around them.
Yes, if they don't feel threatened, they actually can thrive. And that's with any new employee. However, the expectations, I think, over time have changed, and millennials are going into traditional job roles expecting more. And when they don't get more, they get very frustrated. And it's not that they can't get more, it's they don't know how.
I like it. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. So I can imagine there'll be a lot of people after this interview phoning up and wanting to talk with you because you're the answer to their prayers. So let's just find out a little bit about you, Melissa. Tell us, what gives you the greatest joy when you're coaching?
Well, I like the whole process, but it's really that moment when all of a sudden the client sees what I can see. It's almost this physical transformation. And after that, it's like a new person emerges, and then the real work begins. Then they see what can be.
Right, that makes sense. That makes total sense. Wow, I love it. I love it. So when your client sees what you see and sees the potential in themselves, it's kind of what you're saying, then that also dittos with you and you've got that greatest joy as well.
Yes, that's, there's so many possibilities, and I don't want people to be scared to step outside that comfort zone and take advantage of all that they can do.
So, what would you like to say right now to someone that had a millennial working for them that was, having a challenge? What would you say to them?
I would say first you need to step back and not judge, because someone probably said a lot of the same things about you when you started working. Um, and there is a way to kind of, if you communicate your frustrations and your goals with the other person, there is a way to come to an understanding. But the way things are now, the interactions and the amount that we share with each other doesn't necessarily support that. So one person doesn't know how to say it, one person can't listen to it. So it's being this intermediary and finding out what they're frustrated with, and then figuring out how that can be fixed.
I like it. I like it, and it makes total sense. Melissa, I am fascinated by this subject, and thank you for taking the time and to explain it a little bit more. I would certainly recommend anybody to connect with you that really wants to work with, or who has any kind of challenge with millennials, or who doesn't necessarily have a challenge with millennials, but really wants to have a better understanding, or even any millennial that's kind of saying, hey, I need a bit of extra support here.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I can do that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, and I look forward to connecting with you soon, and I suggest anybody that's interested to reach out on the website. All right, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.